Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the founder and lead investigator with Deep Woods Paranormal. My wife and I, along with others, investigate everything paranormal in nature. Every week, we will discuss everything from creepy haunted locations to ghosts to Bigfoot, UFOs, Dogman, and other cryptid creatures, and explore all things paranormal in nature. Hey guys, so we're going to get right into this. What I'm going to do is, first off, I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and I'm going to quickly talk about the backup page that we now have, our YouTube backup page. It's a page where basically I'm going to be posting all of the podcasts as well from here on out, and also other content. So if you're on our other YouTube channel, Exploring the Unknown with Matt and Amanda, and you run across the other channel, which is Deep Woods Paranormal Team, it's the same exact thing. What we're going to do is post the same exact videos and the same exact content. I am working on getting you guys some investigation videos out here and some shorts of those investigations. Sometimes we go into investigations and things we don't get anything. Well, that happens a lot. We don't get anything at these locations, be it ghosts or Bigfoot or UFOs or whatever. You go out to these locations that are said to be haunted or be Bigfoot areas or UFO areas, and you just don't get anything. You don't see anything, you don't experience anything, and that happens quite a bit. So I'll be posting that over here. If you don't know about our Rumble channel, this is also done very well. It's actually just booming. So we're doing really well on getting new subscribers here, and we get a lot of thumbs up and a lot of comments from our viewers. So thank you if you're over on our Rumble page. If we can start to get more people over on our YouTube pages to comment and give us a thumbs up, that'd be very helpful. I really appreciate it, guys. And if you haven't liked, subscribed, and left a comment just to say even hi, we'd appreciate it. All right, so let's get into our content for today. And today we're going to be talking about Jefferson, Texas, and also Caddo, Texas. They're very close together. Let me actually show you. If you're watching on the podcast, I'll show you real quick. Bear with me. I've got a little dog on my desk today. So let's go over here to Google, and we'll go to Maps. If it'll let me. Maps. There we go. All right. So Caddo, Texas, and Franklin, Texas are in East Texas. So they're over here. You can just see all the beds. Let me just type in Franklin. Jefferson. All right. So this brings us over to Jefferson. Let me switch this to satellite and let me move this thing out of the way. All right, now we can see what we're looking at. Okay, so this is Jefferson, Texas. Amanda and I went here, what was it, about 6 months ago for a Bigfoot conference. It was a lot of fun. We met a lot of people and we got to talk to a lot of people. So just a really good time. We appreciate them inviting us to go out and see that. And maybe next time we'll put up a booth of our own. And so we can meet you guys. We're going to start doing more meet and greets and stuff like that. If you follow us on Facebook, again, link down below in the description, you'll be able to find us and see our events and stuff like that. We try and post those as quickly as possible as soon as we find out that we're going to do them. But anyways, so this is the Jefferson area. We went to the historical museum around there for the event we went to. And you can kind of see, and then where's Caddo Lake from here? So let's just see if we do. So that's Jefferson. If we do Caddo Lake. So you can see, here's Jefferson and here's Caddo Lake. So essentially they butt up to each other. And this whole area, look at this area here. I mean, this is a very green area. And I imagine there's a lot of lakes and little rivers and stuff in here. And I bet you this is pretty thick with all kinds of brush and trees and animals and stuff like that. So this does make a very good place to be a Bigfoot, because I bet you about, I would say about 50 or 60% of this has probably never been explored. And then if you come over here to Caddo, I mean, look how big this lake is, and it's this ugly lake. It's beautiful, but it's ugly. The water's like black. It's crazy. If you want to do a quick search for Caddo Lake, I would recommend it. It's got these beautiful, cool trees. It just looks like a Bigfoot hotspot. All right, so let's go back to Jefferson for just a second. This is a cool photo. Here's some cool photos from Jefferson. It's a historical little town, beautiful place. I would love to go back out there. You can see this is somewhere out in the country. Let's use this picture because it kind of goes with basically what everything looks like out there. It's very, very wooded, very green, and a lot of people live out in these little homes and stuff out in the country. And so let's go back to June of 1989. This person was 9.5 years old. They saw a Bigfoot on the road on all fours as he was scouting for a good picnic spot. Basically, what happened was he went down the road, and from his property, from the cabin down to where the front gate was, and he was kind of off on the right looking for a cool spot, and his favorite spot to do picnics, and it was just too overgrown for him to uh, have one there with his family. So as he was standing there, he was basically turning around to come back, and out of nowhere comes this Bigfoot walking up the road on all fours, kind of bear crawling. And we've seen them do that before. That's a very common thing. They look more like a bear or a big dog when they're down on all fours. And basically, he said it walked over to a fence post and pulled itself up onto onto its back legs, and was standing there. And as it stood there and walked kind of up the road, he could feel it the ground vibrate underneath him. It basically shook the ground as he stood there. He said it was about 7 to 8 feet tall, and basically stood there and looked at him. I think it was. He said it looked very confused. It didn't really expect to see him there. It was kind of moving quickly on all fours. Came around this corner, grabbed the post, went to stand up, and realized that uh, this kid was standing there watching him, and they essentially met eyes, and it basically turned and kind of looked away from him to see what was behind it. And if you've ever seen a Bigfoot turn, the necks are really thick, so they can't just like turn their heads like this. They actually have to physically turn their bodies, like their upper torso, to look. And so basically that's what it did. It did it a couple of times, and it basically turned back and looked at him and was just kind of being curious as to what he was doing or whatever. And at that age, I mean, I don't think it would probably be too afraid of him. It didn't seem like it was threatening to him in any way. And then essentially his brother came walking down the walkway and down the road towards him, didn't see the Bigfoot, and was calling out his name. And as he did, the Bigfoot turned and looked at his brother, and he yelled at his brother to stop. And as his brother got closer, this thing finally turned back to the right away from him and ran back off into the woods. And that was basically the whole sighting, essentially. So let's kind of take a look at that. So Bigfoot on all fours, like I said, it's pretty common. I've seen them do it multiple times. I think they seem to be as fast, if not faster, on all fours as they do just basically walking upright. Although they are very fast walking upright, and I've seen them run too. So yeah, I mean, it basically probably a juvenile was probably out exploring the area or looking for food or whatever, and it happened to walk into where he was and go, "Oops, I got seen," and then basically knew it had been seen, and then it was just curious about the boy who was probably close to its age, and then basically when the other kid came running down, it got scared and took off. So that's very common for these things to basically freeze like that and to act like they're a tree or whatever. They when they're up against the tree line, I mean, it's really hard to tell that they're a Bigfoot and not a tree. They look just like a damn tree. So let's move on to the next one. October 1994, also in Jefferson, Texas, a person was out squirrel hunting. Again, I think it was a younger person. He said he was in the Pine Island bayou, and he had just walked out. Well, he was with his dog, and he went to sit down on a tree when he heard some splashing about 50, 60 feet away. And as he was listening to this, all of a sudden something kind of started walking up the bank, and his dog immediately took off to go chase this thing, whatever it was. And as soon as it basically got into view, he could see what it was. And he saw the Bigfoot pick up a log and throw it at his dog, at which time he grabbed his gun because he was out squirrel hunting. He had buckshot and he had like a little shotgun. I think it was a single barrel shotgun. And he shot it at the Bigfoot. And then basically, he said the Bigfoot was basically 6.5 to 7 feet tall. He said it was dark brown in color. And then basically, as soon as you shot the gun, the Bigfoot turned and ran back into the forest. So that's also very common. They don't like weapons. They tend to know what a weapon is. And in my experience, anywhere up to about the 8 to 9 foot range is probably a juvenile. At that point in time, they're probably out exploring. Maybe they got kicked out of their group, or maybe they're crossing across to look for some kind of um, female somewhere, another female somewhere in another group, or something like that. I do believe they live in family groups. And then I think maybe that it was during mating season. And I'll go through this with you in just a second, talking about mating season and stuff. So let's look at another Caddo Lake. Let's look at Caddo Lake because that was something I talked about before. So this was October of 2005. This guy had gone out to stay at his grandma's place out in the woods. The report says that he essentially, his grandma had owned the property since she was been on the property since she was a little kid. It had been in the family for like half a century, so a long time, 50, 60 years. And so they were basically out one night sitting on the porch and they heard some loud screams and stuff like that. He was also a hunter. So they went out the next morning. He was walking out to his tree stand when he felt like something was watching him. So basically, he was walking up a path and he was looking down because if you've ever been out in the woods, there's no path that's just completely smooth or not. There isn't a tripping hazard somewhere on them. So essentially, he was watching where he was walking, felt like stopped because he felt like he was being watched, looked up, and he saw a head and some shoulders peeking out from behind a tree. And so essentially, he watched this thing for a few seconds, and basically, he said it was over 6 feet tall. He's over 6 feet tall, and this was things much taller than him. He said, and he made eye contact with it, and then basically it turned and disappeared. And as it walked away or ran away, there was just no noise at all, no noise, which I personally have experienced that. I've experienced them move away, walking on when I walked on it, it was like broken branches, dead leaves. I mean, there was no way not to make a bunch of noise. And I'll talk about that too in a second here. What what think happened with that. But essentially, yeah, it disappeared and back into the brush. So two more reports. This is also in the Harrison County, Texas area. This was December of 1989. This guy was also hunting on his grandma's property. He went out to his tree stand with a buddy. and his buddy was, I don't know, 100 feet away or something like that. And as he was sitting there freezing his yin yangs off up in the deer stand, he heard and then saw something walking down the pipeline clearing. Again, that pipeline clearing is somewhere I've been told that they use the pipelines and the clearing in the forest as like a highway. This thing was walking towards him. He said it stayed in the shadows and it was it was walking bipedally. Let's just put it that way. So he basically wanted to get a better look at this thing, and he had a scope on his gun. So he popped the scope open so he could see, and then essentially he popped the safety off on his gun. And as soon as he did that, this thing literally turned and looked at him. And he said it just made almost no noise when he popped it off. This thing clearly heard it from however far away it was. It was quite a ways. And so he was watching it. And as he was sitting there watching it, I'm sure he had his gun pointed at the animal or the Bigfoot or whatever you want to call it. And this thing kind of looked at him, never took his eyes off him, and literally stepped back, step back, step back, and then finally turned and walked into the forest. Uh, and he said that part of the forest was so thick that he would never go into it, and it was still dark, dusk. He could see it, but he couldn't he couldn't see much. But he could definitely see it. It was just clear enough for him to see, and so that's what I am my sighting too, is at dusk. But it was just getting dark, not getting light. So basically, it went into this thicket that he said he would never even go into, even if it was daytime, because it was so thick, and he would get shredded by the thorns and everything in there. And that's the kind of thing you need a machete to go into to start looking through. But I've heard a lot of reports of that as well. They stay in areas where people have a hard time getting into, where you get all cut up and stuff. The Bigfoots don't seem to have any kind of an issue walking through that or walking through any kind of poison ivy or any other kind of stinging plant like stinging lentil. So, anyways, that makes sense. That's all makes sense. Let's talk about the last one. This also happened in Harris County, Texas. This was in June of 1984. And I know these are old reports, but Bigfoots tend to stay in the same areas. This happened around 11:30 p.m. This is a very short report. This young lady who was driving around with her friend in a car said she saw a big hairy creature cross the road in front of them, and then basically jump over a fence and disappear into the woods. So, I mean, if you go into these areas, wow, look at that. It's very industrial. But look at how much forest is around here. I mean, this is what our house looks like too. So this looks like this is downtown Jefferson here. But you can see it's just surrounded by woods. Let me see if I can get back into the regular. Let me see if it'll let me back in here. Let me move this out of the way. Let's see. Bear with me for just a second here. Okay. And this is what happens with my computer. It just absolutely does not want me to do what I want to do. There we go. Okay, so we're going to cruise out of Jefferson, Texas. I mean, look around here. Let me see if I can go into Caddo Lake. Hold on a second. Ooh. Yeah, this is Caddo Lake right here. There's not very many pictures. That sucks. But Caddo Lake, this doesn't even do it justice. So yeah, I mean, this area here. It's just like these trees. You can see the trees. These trees are very beautiful, and they only grow in the water essentially. But you can see this water is pretty murky. This looks clean. Where we were, it was black. The water just looked black. So it's kind of like an oily black color normally, or at least where we were. I'll have to go through and find some pictures, and I can show you guys this later. But yeah, definitely. Definitely a good spot for a Bigfoot to be going around through these trees and stuff like that. There's going to be animals all through here. It's going to be very secluded. Yes, people come through here, but they camp in certain locations. Let me see. Okay, so here's like homes and stuff. Let's look at. Well, I don't think we're in Caddo Lake anymore. It says Oil City. So let me get us out of here because I'd really like to go back to Caddo Lake. Okay, so we're not really in Caddo Lake. We're not here. Hold on a second. Let's see if we can find. Where we can go into this. Doesn't look like there's any pictures. Let me see if I can find that little guy. Here he is. See if we can drop him somewhere. Ooh, here we go. Yeah, so this is what Caddo Lake looks like. I mean, look at all these trees. Look at this. This is extremely forested. Look at the trees bent over. Oop, is that a structure? Maybe. Look at all the hoops. Look at all these trees bent every which way. But yeah, I mean, this is just. Here's some more trees bent over here. Here's some trees broken. Now, that doesn't mean anything. It's just interesting as a paranormal investigator, a Bigfoot researcher. Um, Wish I could go over here. Can we go here? Wish I could drop him over there. Hmm. Okay, so let me go back out. Let me see if I can drop him somewhere else. Wish I could drop him right here. Nope, won't let me. I want to get to a place where there's some place on this map where I can drop him like right on the water. So there's another location. You can see how forced it is. These people live out in the middle of nowhere. All right, well, while we have the forest on here, um, I said I would go back and talk about a few things. Let's go back and talk about a few things. Let's see, what was I going to talk about here now? Okay, so bear with me. Oh, it made no noise as it left. I kind of talked about that, where it was walking on. Imagine, let's see all this deadfall and stuff on the ground, and the dead leaves, the dead branches, and stuff like that. When you walk through here, you're going to make noise. Now, Bigfoots, I believe, must have on the bottoms of their foot. On our palms and our feet, we have pads. We have our heel pad and we have the ball of our foot pad. And if your feet are soft enough, if you were walking on that, you probably wouldn't make a lot of noise because your feet would absorb that. I think they have an extra fat pad on the bottom of their feet that must allow them to absorb more of that impact and to allow for that to kind of push in a little bit. They must have very calloused feet. But imagine if they were walking and they absorbed that noise instead of it being so loud, it would make for a better stealth creature, if you will. It would make for them to be able to walk around without basically making a lot of noise. They could have, if they have that big thick fat pad on the bottom of their foot. Well, imagine a thicker heel, and imagine a thicker ball of the foot. Imagine the middle of the foot having extra thick soles, so your skin absorbs more than it normally does. Because if you push on your skin, it goes in. And imagine having an extra pad on there, and basically then pushing. I mean, I could sit here and crush something with my hand, and it'll make a noise. But if I had some extra padding on my hand, it wouldn't make nearly as much noise. So I think that's how they're getting away with making no noise. I really do. I think they can basically make it so that their feet probably cup the ground a little bit and make it so they don't really make a whole lot of noise. Um, if I ever catch a Bigfoot, I'll have to prove that to you. But at this point, it's just a theory. So, and we talked about Bigfoots not being able to turn their heads. Also talked about the oh, I know what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so let's look at when these reports happened. This last one didn't have a month, but Caddo, the one before was December. The fourth report was December. The report before that was October. Let's look at where this was. October was the second one, and June was the one before that. I believe breeding season is right before or right after the summer for these animals. I believe, and if you notice, that the Bigfoots they're seen 7, 8 feet tall in the first one, um, 6.5 to 7 feet tall in the second one. This one doesn't list the height. Oh, over 6 feet tall, so it's between 7 and probably 8 feet. This fourth one, it does not list a height. Stay in the shadows, blah blah blah. Okay, and the last one, she didn't list the height, but I would imagine they're probably between 6 and 8 feet tall. And if you look at a lot of the reports, a lot of these Bigfoots that people are seeing are between 6 and 8 feet tall. Road crossings, um, playful sightings where something's just watching somebody play ball or have fun or doing something, looking in a window. A lot of them are between 6 and 8 feet tall. And you look through a lot of the reports of these things being seen, they're only between 6 and 8 feet tall. And everybody goes, oh, well, why aren't they reported at 8 to 14 or bigger feet tall? Because at that point, I don't think they're not basically migrating anymore. I don't think that they're migrating. I think that the dominant males are between 14 and 18 feet tall. And you might be sitting there laughing your head off. That's fine. I don't have any proof of it yet, but I think they get much bigger than people think. And the more I do the research, the more I'm finding this to be true. So, as we go, Man and I will continue to post our findings on the YouTube and the Rumble channel. And you guys can follow along and watch. We're gonna be starting up with Exploring the Unknown with Matt and Amanda. We're working on a lot of things with that show. We're working with other people now. We're setting up locations. We're doing all kinds of stuff. We're going to go back to a lot of the places we went before, an old haunted jail. This will mainly be a Bigfoot show, but we're going to be kind of researching everything. It won't just be Bigfoots, but I know our following is mainly Bigfoots, people who really like Bigfoot. But we're going to be doing UFOs. We're going to be doing haunted locations. We're going to do Dogman and other cryptid creatures, and we're going to go back to a lot of the places that we have been going, and go try and document things, just her and I. So it's going to be a little bit different than what I was trying to put together before. I'm trying to get some videos edited that let me stop sharing my screen. So I'm trying to get some videos put together for you guys, some shorts. I'm going to take some of the old show that I was making and pull some stuff out of there and make shorts for you guys. And then we might have some other videos that come out of that as well. So we are doing paranormal investigations. The reason you guys aren't seeing them is because we're using them for the show. And then anything that basically doesn't get used in the show will essentially be turned around and maybe just put on here for you guys to enjoy. And of course, we're going to continue to do the podcasts every week or maybe more. We're also working on some other cool stuff, and we're working with other people, other groups, to put together some cool things too for you guys to enjoy. We're doing some collaborations and stuff. So a lot of stuff going on in the background. I keep saying that, but it's just a lot of stuff going on. Every time we think we start to get things kind of ready to go, things just kind of change, and then this happens and that happens, and so, anyways, yeah, we're working on it, guys. We will get you some more content for that. Be looking for Exploring the Unknown with Matt and Amanda to come out probably at the end of the summer. I got to go through and finish editing a bunch of videos, and you'll start to see some new content up here. So, like I said, we're not just paranormal podcasters. We are other things too. We don't just research Bigfoot, although that's our primary focus right now. We do hauntings, UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Dogman. We research all that. And you can kind of see on the shelf behind me, there's all kinds of different things. So if you'll do me a favor, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe and share this out to social media because it helps us get more views. And if you want to leave a comment, we'd love to hear your thoughts or your um, basically whatever you want to say. Say hi or would love to meet you or whatever you guys want to say down below. We'd love to hear comments from our fans, and we will catch you on the next one.